friends, Laura Kromzak here, and this is the Disney Slowdown, where I'm going to help you plan your magical vacation with your special needs kids. Slow down, savor the moments, stay on budget, avoid the meltdowns, and have a great time. Today we are going to compare Disney and Universal because I see this question a ton in the groups. So I just want to give you my perspective on how I think these two actually compare to each other. First of all, if we're going to be totally honest, Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida is definitely a newer park compared to Walt Disney World. Now, I know that Disney has added on throughout the years, but Universal Studios opened in like 2008, 2009. So they kind of were able to go through and do what Disney did right really well and avoid some of the same mistakes that I would say Disney has made. Just my personal opinion. If I were going to build a theme park close to Disney World, or any competitor, I would definitely go check out my competitor and see, okay, what have they done really well and what did they kind of miss the mark on? I feel like Universal really did that. And here are some things that I think they totally nailed. Theming. I mean, they're movie producers, right? They make movies, they build sets. Of course they know how to build a land and make it completely immersive. And where some of Disney's immersive lands have come and gone, like my daughter remembers Tinkerbell and the Fairy Hollow, and that was amazing to just see this building and it's just kind of nonchalant, and you walk through the door and you're inside the fairy world. The plants are huge and the flowers. Like, that still gives us goosebumps, but apparently it wasn't popular enough for Disney to keep, so they got rid of it. Now, Pandora, I think, was probably something that Disney didn't know or didn't expect it to be as popular as it was. I mean, typically, if there's a new ride or a new area, give it a couple years and the newness will wear off, but Pandora's still hopping. I mean, 5 years after they created and opened Pandora, it was still really hard to get into and even to get on Flight of Passage. They're still having that. Flight of Passage is still one of the most popular rides. They did it well. I don't know if it was necessarily on purpose, or maybe it was just a surprise to everybody else that, wow, this is still a happening place. Now, Universal, of course, you have Harry Potter World. You are walking right into that. Jurassic World. I mean, their theming is equally as amazing. So don't negate what Universal brings to the table just because it isn't Disney. Because honestly, looking at apples and apples, they both have done spectacularly drawing us in. And I might even say that Universal might be a little more on top of the game, but again, they're newer. So where Disney started out with an idea and themes, and the first park opened in the 70s, well, here we are 30 years later, and Universal's like, I'm going to take a stab at this. Of course it's going to be better, right? The food. You guys, you're not just getting burgers and fries and chicken strips in Universal. They have really thought about the theming and the food. You have top chefs who are creating these menus specifically for these lands. And I've not eaten anything bad, really. I mean, okay, maybe in Circus McGurkus, the burger, it's a theme park burger. Like, I don't know if you can actually get a good one of those. They all come from the same place, let's be honest. But overall, the food at Universal is just as amazing as food in Disney. The location, well, that's an easy one. They're both in Orlando. So if you're coming to Florida for a vacation, it's really easy to swing in, to get tickets and swing into either one of those parks. They also both have locations in California. I've never been to California, so I cannot speak to those. But if you're coming to Florida, which a lot of people do for vacation, they're both right here. Special events. Now, I know most people know Universal Studios for their Halloween Horror Nights, and I'll get to that in a minute. But they also have festivals in the park that you don't necessarily need a special event ticket for. So it's almost like your Epcot festivals, but it's happening over in Universal Studios. So they have Mardi Gras that happens in Universal Studios. They have their Christmas specials, and they have the Christmas parade, which is actually a Macy's parade. So, you know, the one that we used to watch when we were growing up on TV. Yeah, Macy's does the parade. It's not something to sneeze at. I mean, it's pretty spectacular. Grinchmas is one of my favorite things. It's so much fun, and you can go get a day ticket to Universal Studios and you can go and see Grinchmas. It's a lot of fun. They also host Rock the Universe, which is a specialty. It's like a Christian concert, like a 2-day Christian concert. Now, I will say that all of these events that I've mentioned, they are pretty much in Universal Studios. None of this bleeds over to Islands of Adventure, which is kind of a benefit because most of the events that are specialty events or, you know, after 6 p.m., like your Halloween Horror Nights, they have other special evening events. They will close down Universal Studios early, just like they do over in Disney, but you still have Islands of Adventure that's going to be open, just like over in Disney. You would have, you know, if Magic Kingdom is shut down because of Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, then you can always go to one of the other parks if you have a park hopper. We'll get to that too. Universal has some specially ticketed events, and you'll have to look online. Sometimes they're sponsored by like the newspaper or something. They include food, and it's more than treats, which is amazing. And last year, I think was the first year that they did a special food event for Halloween Horror Nights. So if you're like me and you don't really care about going to see the haunted houses, you could get a specialty ticket for the food event, and then you get to try all of the new food and drink that is being offered at Halloween Horror Nights, but you can skip the horror, which is really nice. And actually, I'm kind of really excited about doing that. Maybe not this year, maybe next year. Because one, I love food, and two, I would totally pay $140, $150, whatever it is, to go and just eat all the specialty food, where in Disney, you're paying that price and you are riding all the rides in that park and getting some like ice cream or popcorn. Now, don't get me wrong, I love popcorn, but I think I'm kind of leaning this direction. Let's talk about some things that I think Universal is actually doing better than Disney. Yes, you heard me. I said that. They are doing better than Disney. Thrills, obviously, the thrills. If your family enjoys the thrill rides, Universal is where you should be. Now, I would definitely check out the height requirements. We had Universal passes in 22. Yes. We took our first trip in December of 21, and we had our pass all through 22. And my son had to grow into the tallest roller coasters. He still is 2 inches shy of being able to ride the Hulk. The Hulk height requirement is 56 inches. He is at 54. I told him that once he hits 56, we will take him to Universal and he will be able to ride all of the coasters. He is so excited. Grow, baby, grow. The funny thing is, we did Universal before we did Disney, and of course there's a lot more vloggers out there about Disney, so we were watching all the videos and trying to learn all the things, and he was so excited, and he's like, I'm gonna ride every ride in Magic Kingdom. There was a couple of videos. It's like, I can't sleep until I ride every ride in Magic Kingdom. Whatever, I don't even know why it was a video, but he saw it, and he just had this mindset. And then we get to Magic Kingdom. We did Hollywood Studios first, so that might have been a little bit more of a confusion for him, because Hollywood Studio does have some thrill rides. But we get to Magic Kingdom and he's like, why are they all baby rides? I mean, granted, we have done amusement parks for 6 years to this point, right? They cut their teeth on Six Flags, so he knows big roller coasters and he loves them all, and all of my kids do. So, if your kids are looking for thrills or your family's looking for thrills, Universal is really the place to go. Yes, you have Tron, which I don't consider that very thrilling, but okay, whatever. You have Tron and Magic Kingdom, Guardians of the Galaxy in Epcot, which is the best ride on property, and if you haven't seen my How to Get Into the Virtual Queue, I will link that here because, everybody needs to know that. Flight of Passage is also, I would consider that a thrill ride, and also still very popular. And then, of course, in Hollywood Studios, you do have Tower of Terror, which is great. You have Rock and Rollin' Roller Coaster. And as far as thrills, I really think those two are it. Again, you have great theming in Galaxy's Edge. You have a lot of fun rides. Slinky Dog Dash is probably one of the funnest roller coasters. That one and Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. They're both really fun. But I don't consider Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, Slinky Dog, or even Big Thunder Mountain, I don't consider those thrill rides. Like, I grew up going to Six Flags, and the first roller coaster that you conquered, was the Mine Train. And so I kind of put those on that level. And then you went up to Screamin' Eagle, and then they got the Boss. And then we got Mr. Freeze, which Mr. Freeze was my favorite ride. Loved it. But I digress. If you haven't seen my videos that I've done, kind of giving you a tour around all of the parks, and we travel by map, I like to get a bird's eye view of the whole parks. I will link that playlist here. If you have not already subscribed to my channel, would you please subscribe, like this video, and turn those notifications on? Also, share it with a friend. I greatly appreciate it. And comment below. What would you like to see in future videos? What would you like to know about? I'm going to be straight up honest with you. So I would love to get your ideas. You can also join me on Patreon. I've got the information in the description below. And we are planning a mom's trip. You know what? Frankly, I don't care if we do a mom's trip to Disney, to Universal, to the beach, on a cruise. I'm not doing snow. I'm not doing cold. Don't even ask. You can plan that yourself. But I will do a beach or a cruise or Disney or Universal. Totally. We need a mom's trip. So come join me on Patreon. You can also see what else I'm doing and how your support of this channel is helping children in need. Let's talk about cost, because the numbers don't lie. I'm sorry, but Universal does it better. Universal does it better on several levels. First of all, you don't have to be a resident in the state of Florida to be able to afford a Universal annual pass. And there's a lot of great perks with the annual pass. I mean, Disney has perks with the annual pass as well, but you've got to pay $1,400. I think that's insane. I'm lucky enough to be in Florida right now, and I get the cheapest pass possible. I've got a ton of blackout dates, but that's okay because I don't want to be at Disney when everybody else is there anyway. So that's totally fine with me. But for the love, the cost is outrageous. You can't deny that. The cost for an annual pass, a 2-park pass, we don't really do water parks. I mean, We did when we were in the Midwest, but we're in Florida. Like, we're going to go to the ocean. So a 2-park pass in Universal is less than half the cost of an annual pass to Disney. And here are the benefits that you get. They both get free parking at the parks. Now, Universal does not give you free parking at their resorts. So that's kind of not fabulous. But if you're driving down and you're staying somewhere else, or you're even staying, I don't know why you would stay at a Universal park and not, and like drive yourself. Maybe you were checkout day or something. I don't know. Anyway, you do you, right? You get free parking at City Walk. So that's a benefit. You get discounts on merch. You get discounts on hotel. But the one area that Universal wins hands down is you get discounts on all food. That's right. Quick service, snacks, butterbeer cart, it doesn't matter. Ice cream, everything that you purchase in Universal Studios or Islands of Adventure or even at the water park, can't even remember what it's called right now, you get a discount every time you buy something. Which is really kind of funny because looking at the price comparisons, I would say that the quick service meals at Disney are a little cheaper, but if you're an annual pass holder, the Universal are the same price then. So it's kind of a wash. And I would most definitely highly recommend looking at the cost of an annual pass for Universal Studios. Get the 2-park pass, you definitely want that. Versus buying 2 or 3 days. You might be surprised. And then the benefits that you get on top of that, like saving on all the food that you purchase, and even a hotel discount. Like that could really add up, and that could make the difference of the cost of those 2 or 3 day tickets to Universal and getting the annual pass. So check that out. Some things that I believe, or at least for me, Universal has missed the mark. But there are redeeming qualities. The first one is the Disability Service Pass. Disney has it won hands down. The one at Universal right now is going through some transition. It is more challenging, a little more complicated, which is not necessarily a bad thing. And I feel like they're moving to like an in the app service like Disney has. They're just not there yet. So bless their hearts. Let's hope they get there soon. I'm going to guess that before Epic Universe opens, they're going to have all this stuff worked out. So, maybe in the next year, they're going to be able to nail that and they'll be top notch. But right now, that pass is a little cumbersome, a little challenging to use. So we'll just leave it at that. Halloween. I'm not a fan of haunted houses. It's not my thing at all. Matter of fact, my kids and I are saving up to get not so scary tickets this year. So we're excited for that. Let's be honest, we're there for the free candy. I mean, you know us. That's why we're going. We're going for the candy. But I would be really interested in that Halloween Horror Nights food event. I would be all over that. No problems. I just don't want to go into the haunted houses. I don't need to see any of that. Now, I will say that when you're walking in Universal Studios, you don't see any like bloody and gory, spiders or ghouly things. You don't see any of that. Six Flags has that. There was like the tunnels that went to Thunder River. They were always done up in big old spiders and spider webs. One of the areas that had some of the rides that we really enjoyed, you'd walk through and there's bloody body parts all over the place. Like, I didn't want my kids to see that. We didn't really have a choice. I'm really thankful that Universal gives you that option. They have Halloween decorations, but there's nothing scary, freaky, gory, ghouly, nothing like that at all. And I really appreciate that. And again, if you happen to be there on a night when they've got Universal Studios closed early because of HHN, you can always go over to Islands of Adventure. And Halloween events are not allowed in the Harry Potter world, so you're not going to see Halloween decorations or anything. I think the reason why people are so Disney-fied is for the nostalgia. I mean, I grew up on the wonderful world of Disney. You know, we used to watch a Disney movie every, I think it was Sunday night, and sometimes it was a live action like the Apple Dumpling Gang or the Nutty Professor or the Shaggy DA. Sometimes it was an animated feature, Snow White. I remember seeing Cinderella in the movie theaters. So you're digging deep in my feels, Disney, when you put together these theme parks. And it has to be that emotional attachment to my childhood. Because I noticed that, first of all, I didn't grow up going to Disney. I didn't get to go to Disney until I was like 28 years old. I took myself. So it's not that memory, you know, family vacations, going to Florida, going to the parks. It has nothing to do with that. I noticed when we had Universal passes, I enjoyed Universal, Legoland. I enjoyed it. I enjoy the amusement parks. I enjoy visiting these with my kids and letting them do whatever they want. I enjoy all of that. When it came to Disney and we were having meltdowns, which, let's be honest, we have had meltdowns in every single park so far. So Disney's not special. That's what we do. We have meltdowns. I was way more indignant about them having meltdowns in Disney. Like, it affected me more than in any other park. Like, it personally, like, it was an affront to me personally. And so I had to kind of check my feelings and be like, why am I so attached to Disney? And that's what it's got to be. I bought all these animated movies, you know, when I was in my 20s so that my kids could watch these Disney movies that I remember so fondly and that I grew up on. Now, my oldest grew up on a lot of those, but my younger ones haven't really. So maybe we broke the cycle. I don't know. I will say, though, that Universal is reaching for those childhood nostalgia feelings. I mean, they do have E.T. and they have Men in Black and they have The Simpsons. So children's of the 80s and 90s, you're going to remember those. The Simpson land is really cool. I missed the entire Simpson phenomena. I was not in the country. I was an exchange student. I was in Europe the year that Simpsons came out and was really popular. So when I came back, I was like, I don't get it. But the theming is really awesome. And I know enough about the story in the show, and I've watched some episodes that I can point out, and I know what's going on. Now, my poor kids, when we took them to Universal, and we went on E.T. and Men in Black, and I was like, oh, I'm so excited. They were like, what is this? They'd never seen it. Either one of the movies. We had to come home and rent the movies, so then they were like, oh, now I get it. But that's not something they were grown up on, right? Harry Potter, obviously, came out in the 2000s, early 2000s. So we're going to start getting into that now. When Epic Universe launches in summer, I think it's summer of 2025, here we are back to the children of the 80s and that Nintendo world. I mean, these are the games that we grew up playing. So I think that's really going to knock us in our feels. DreamWorks, so they took away Woody Woodpecker and Fievel, again, stuff that we grew up on, but it was more of a kid land at Universal Studios. So it was more like a playland, and the little kids don't know who Fievel is, and they don't really, they probably have never seen a Woody Woodpecker cartoon although there are a couple of movies out. And so now they're retheming that to DreamWorks. Kung Fu Panda, that's where Shrek is going to. Of course, you've got Minion Land right in the middle of everything, which is a lot of fun. So cute. And so many great, just little Easter eggs all over the place. The details are amazing in the Minion Cafe. If you're ever there, you've got to just go in and look around at all of the details because it's really funny. Harry Potter fans, I mean, we already have 2 lands. We have Diagon Alley, we have Hogsmeade, and now we're getting, a 3rd Harry Potter land in Epic Universe. So I think you're going to have a big draw there as well. I don't care who you are. I'm excited to see the How to Train Your Dragon land. I think that is going to be over the top. I cannot wait to see that in Epic Universe. So while Disney may have my childhood heart, and a lot of our childhood hearts, and that's why Disney's got such a pull, I think Universal is getting there, and they're putting things in their theme parks that are relevant and just as emotionally important to us and our children. I think they're nailing it. I really do with this Epic Universe. But I will tell you, one place that we found in Universal, it's just the same as Disney. It really is. The more time you spend there, the more details you look at, and the more fun, unique things you find. We found rock climbing walls. Like, you could scale the brick wall, the brick buildings, just like a superhero. And it was $10 per kid. I think we spent 30 minutes, maybe longer. They just climbed the walls. Literally. But it's also a good way for them to kind of get away and decompress, because Universal has a lot of crowds as well. There's several places in Universal that we found that were great places to just get away from the crowds. So maybe I'll do that video as well. Another benefit that I think Universal has over Disney is they have those Coke Freestyle machines all over the parks. You can get filtered water. You don't have to walk up to a counter service. You don't have to wait in line, unless, of course, there's a line at the Coke Freestyle machine, but that's okay. And the mugs that you get from Universal, that, you get them at Disney if you stay on property and you get that refillable mug, and you can only use them at the resorts. You can use those refillable mugs all over Universal. So if you're a big soda drinker, that's great. We bring our water bottles in, and we absolutely love going to the freestyle machines and filling up with ice and water all over the parks. That was fabulous. On top of staying on property at Universal and getting a discount if you're an annual pass holder, Universal is more compact. So your 2 parks are really close to each other. You either walk through City Walk to get from one park to the other, or if you have the park to park pass, you can take the Hogwarts Express, which is a cool experience, both directions. All of the resorts are right there. I mean, Endless Summer is a 5-minute bus ride, and it takes you right to City Walk, drops you off right there at security, so you don't have to walk all the way through the parking garages. I mean, it's really awesome. All the other ones are pretty much within walking distance. You can take buses. Some of them have boats. Some of them have a walking path, but it's more compact, so I think it's easier to get around. It costs you less time to get around. Let's say that. Yes, Disney has their amazing transportation system, no question. But it can take you an hour to travel. I just feel like the travel time in between resorts and Universal Parks is not near that. Also, since we're talking about hotels, the value resorts are so incredibly cost effective. I mean, there's no reason not to stay on property when you're staying at Universal. Endless Summer, you can get the family suites. They have 3 queen beds, a miniature fridge, and there was a picnic table in our room. It was great. We could bring a bunch of our own food. We had our cooler, we had the refrigerator, there was a microwave. It made it really convenient to be able to bring our own food and save on food that way, pack our bags. Now, where in Disney, you bring your backpacks with you on the rides, everything except Tron. Universal have these small lockers, but they are free for each ride. You just have to make sure that all your stuff fits in the small locker. I was told that a popcorn bucket actually does fit in the locker, or there was something about a popcorn bucket. Universal is the only park that I don't have a popcorn bucket for because I didn't think it would fit in the free locker. So I didn't get it because you can't bring anything with you on these thrill rides most of the time. Most of the time you got to put them in a locker. But we would bring little containers, thin little Tupperware containers, and we'd pack cheese and meat sticks and grapes and tomatoes, carrots. I mean, we picked all kinds of fresh stuff, and you could keep a bag of ice in your backpack as well. You just have to make sure it's in a Ziploc bag. But it's really nice to be able to bring all your own snacks and like fresh items too, and not have to buy food everywhere. Although the fish and chips at Three Broomsticks, like one of our favorite meals. If you stay at one of the top tier resorts, so there's 3 of them, you will get express passes for your stay. Universal has that nailed. And their top tier resorts are way less expensive than Disney ever thought of being. I mean, if you think probably a Disney moderate resort is going to be what you're going to spend at a Universal top tier resort, and you get the express passes. Those express passes are $89 per person per day at the minimum. I've seen them go as high as $189 maybe, I think, when it was a really busy day. I mean, it's supply and demand. Disney does it too. So that's definitely something to consider when you're looking at your cost. Time is money. So should your family visit Universal as well as Disney instead of Disney? Well, that's going to have to be for you to decide. And the thrill rides are not the only thing that Universal Studios Islands of Adventure offer. The theming is amazing in all of the lands. There are a ton of rides and attractions that don't have large height requirements, but if your kids are thrill riders, you might want to find out what the height requirements are for those rides, because your kids might be too short, like mine were.
If you found value in this video, would you please like it, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell, and share it with a friend. I am so thankful that you joined me here today, and I will see you on my next video.